Hi guys, welcome to our Masterpiece series. We are coming off from last week where we watched the God's Chisel video by the Skit Guys. And the question I want to start off this week is, what is a masterpiece? Right? Just kind of to describe it, it is the absolute best creation that an artist can make, right? It is the culmination of every bit of skill, ability, and everything in their life in one thing. So a couple examples that I have here are the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo, Chopin's Nocturne, Beethoven's Für Elise, Henry Ford II's Ford GT40 from 1966, and the list goes on. Right? Masterpieces aren't just there and gone. They stand the test of time. If you think of the Mona Lisa, it's the most famous painting ever, and people flock to go see it every day in the Louvre. We know that God created the world and everything in it, but He chose us to be His masterpiece. We are the crowning achievement of His creation. So it's kind of long, but I'm going to read through all of Genesis 1, and I'm going to show you guys the proof that we are His masterpiece. So in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formless, void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the light. The face of the waters, sorry. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. God created His first good thing, right? And God said, "Let there be a dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." So God made the dome and separated the waters that were under the dome from the waters that were above the dome. And it was so. God called the dome sky, and there was evening and morning the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together He called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed and fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed of every kind, and trees of every kind bearing fruit with the seed in it. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, there was morning, the third day. I'm going to pause for a second and bring to your guys' attention that every time God's creating something, He's noticing that it's good, right? So let's keep going. And God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and days and years, and let them be lights in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth." And it was so. God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. God set them in the dome of the sky to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, there was morning, the fourth day. God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly across the earth, across the dome of the sky." So God created the sea monsters, and every living creature that moves of every kind with which the waters swarm, and every winged bird of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas. Let the birds multiply in the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. Once again, He keeps seeing that things are good. Now He's about to make people, and we'll see how that's a little bit different. God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle and creeping things and wild animals of the earth of every kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals of the earth of every kind, and the cattle of every kind, and everything that creeps around the ground of every kind, and God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. And this is really important that it says it 3 times. When you guys are in a classroom and your teacher says something over and over, you know that's going to be on the test. So, in the Bible, when something's repeated over and over, know that it's important. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit, you shall have them for food. And every beast of the earth, and every bird of the air, and everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food," and it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening and morning, the 6th day. When God created us, he didn't think it was just good. And he created everything. You guys have to imagine the Grand Canyon, these beautiful animals that roam the earth. I mean, how cool are cheetahs? Or there's a bird in South America right near Guatemala. It's called a Quetzalcoatl. Look it up. It's beautiful. He created all those awesome, gorgeous, powerful, crazy things. But his crowning achievement was us. Because once we were created, he saw that everything was not good anymore. It was very good. That's the one thing that he was missing, was making us in his image, and it made everything perfect. The way I look at this is it's kind of like an early Wikipedia entry for all the stuff that God did, right? Just kind of goes over, oh, you know, he did this, and then he did this, and then he did this, right? We were that top tier achievement, right? So he created all those things, and they were kind of good, but he created us, and it finished it off. That's the icing on the cake, was people. We are the best of God's creation. And each and every one of us is very special to God in very specific ways. And don't ever forget that. Think of yourself as the masterpiece that God knows you to be. I want to touch on one little thing that I think kind of troubles us, is when we try to think of ourselves as God's masterpiece and this beautiful creation that he made, we sometimes think, oh, we're not good enough. So behind me, this painting is part of the Sistine Chapel ceiling called The Creation of Adam. So this is the moment that God's finger is about to touch Adam and give him life. This was Michelangelo's crowning achievement, was this gigantic chapel ceiling. But Michelangelo was not a painter. He was a sculptor. You might recognize this statue as the Statue of David. It's probably his most famous statue, and he wanted to be known as a sculptor. But this painting is what is more famous. So never forget that God may be leading us to something that we're not necessarily thinking that is our best thing that we can do, but God's going to guide us and do great things through us. So next week, we're going to talk a little bit how a masterpiece is made and what effort goes into that, and how God is constantly making us into our new masterpieces.